Hello and welcome to another video. And oh man, I'm so excited. Automatons has just been released. And therefore, like we always do with every new piece of content in this game, we are going to go through what the new patch has brought. And as always, I've set up my little demonstration platform with everything from the patch. Everything here on the left is free, and you're going to get no matter what. Everything on the right is part of the paid DLC that you can purchase if you choose to. But first things first, let's get into our character here and start going through these various blocks, because this is really exciting. Automatons, I think, is going to be one of the biggest changes in terms of how we play the game since planets. And I'm not joking when I say that. So first off, we have the various AI blocks. There's 5 of them, and we'll go through them here one by one. We have the AI flight move, and this is the most important one. You need to have this on your grid in order for the AI blocks to manipulate your grid. Use the gyros, use the thrusters. So no matter what, you need one of these. Next up is the AI basic task. These are simple tasks. Go here, follow that. Very basic. But sometimes that's all you need, is just a simple, can you follow me around so that I have some extra storage space, or you can follow me around as like an additional defensive flying turret or something like that. That's all you need to do. Give it that basic task. But for more advanced, we have the AI recorder. This allows you to fly your grid yourself while this is recording your actions, and then it will replay them and repeat those actions over and over again for you. So if you have a cargo drone that you want to be able to go from location to location and deposit materials and then come back and do a pickup, this is what you're going to need. Moving on to the combat, we have AI defensive. Now this particular block is going to protect your ship by causing it to run away. When it detects an enemy nearby, it's going to try to retreat and probably go to a location that you can specify. Go to that beacon or go to this GPS coordinate, and you can put some turrets there, you can put a safe zone there so that your say cargo transports will go, oh, I'm about to be raided, how about I just run away? And you do that through the defensive AI. But on the flip side, if you want to be the one going on the offense, you have the AI offense. And this one is for taking your ships and turning them into attack drones, to fighter craft. You have different options in there for staying at range and sniping, or doing dive bombs and strafing runs, and all of that is within this. Those are the AI blocks, which are probably one of the biggest things this update. But what I think is the biggest, most important part of the update is the event controller. The event controller, I think, is the biggest change. What we have in here is essentially really easy to set up, if then else kind of logic statements, where we have an event. Say, for example, your cargo is filled, and if it's equal or greater than 50%, and then you go into the select actions, and you could have also, you can see here, multiple different toolbars being accessed by hitting control and then the button, and you have 2 slots. When that if statement is triggered, when the condition is met, and when the condition is not met anymore. So when we fill up that cargo container, it'll trigger the left one, and then when we drain that cargo container, it'll trigger the right one. And there's so much you can do with this. This is going to lead to massive quantities of automation in this game. Like in the beta, where we had access to this, people made fully autonomous airlock cycling systems that didn't lose any air, because you would open the door. So how it works is you could walk in, have it trigger off a sensor that you're in the room, you're in the airlock, and it's time to cycle. It would close the door behind you, it would drain the oxygen out, and it would open the exterior door automatically once the area was depressurized. And vice versa, if you walked in from the outside, it would close the exterior door, repressurize, and then open the interior door at the time when everything was pressurized. It also had safety systems built into it, so it was turning the doors on and off so that they were essentially locked, and you couldn't accidentally open the wrong door while the airlock system was cycling. And that was all done using the event controller. It is going to be absolutely amazing to see what people can do with this block. And I am very excited about incorporating it into my designs for even the simplest thing, such as when my connector is connected to something, recharge my batteries. That in itself is going to be the simplest use for the event controller, but it makes your life so much easier. You don't need to run a script, such as like Izzy's refueling script. You don't have to have multiple things in your toolbar, and you don't undock randomly and then forget, oh, my battery's on recharge, and crash your ship because you're like, why am I not flying? The event controller is going to be amazing, and I could gush about it more, but we have much more stuff to get to. Next up, in an obvious nod to the best Christmas movie out there, we have Willis ducts for Bruce Willis in Die Hard as John McClane. You can come up to these ducts, you can crouch down, and you can crawl through them. Hell yeah! This one even has a vent, which you can actually see through. So if we, say for example, we'll just grab some Willis ducts here. Oh, I got them on my bar already. Excellent. Willis duct 2. We'll put that on the side there, and we can crouch our way into this, and we can see through it. So we can have a nice little spy duct system where we can look into our base and go, ooh, that person's taking our resources. Or if you wanted to, I guess you could do Among Us in Space Engineers, but that is very sus. This one is Willis ducts with some lights, so you can have some brightness in the duct. We've got the corner, the T-junction, the X-junction, so you can go in every single direction, and also a ramp, so you can go from the bottom part of the block to the top part of the block. And also a cover. So these little covers can be put on top of any of the Willis duct junctions, as well as, I mean, this grate, you can just place it anywhere as a greeble, which is awesome. And so you can put it there, and it looks like, oh, it looks like the grate's been slid up, and there's a little bit of access, but we can't get through there. You'll have to grind it down and go on through. And I could see some like scenario role-playing builds using these to have you sneak your way into a facility through the Willis ducts, and you have to grind the grate off at the end, and it'll fall over, and you can get out and do your infiltration that way. I think it's going to be really cool, and it'd be interesting to incorporate these into large ship designs to essentially be Jeffries tubes, like in Star Trek. Moving on, we have the Conveyor Cap. So while in the past, what I would do is, oh my God, my bar already, I'm set up and I'm so smooth, is I would use something like a piston top, because that looks not bad if you put it at the end of a conveyor section. It's not the best, but it's not bad. However, what we have is both large grid and small grid, both large size small and small size small, the 3x3 and the 1x1 caps for our conveyors. And they look cool. It's just a bunch more greebled. We got some little bit of emissives on there. It looks like you and I need to pull down that handle and the cap would hinge open, which would be really cool if that was an actual thing and animated and you could use it. But It's just a cosmetic and it looks amazing. Next up is centered armor panels. As you can see here, if I get a block out so you can see the edges of the blocks, you can see this is in the center of this particular armor block here. And that's just something we haven't been able to do in the past. We have both the full size and the half size of both light armor and heavy armor for those. So that's awesome. We'll be able to use more armor panels and build some different shapes out of them. Next up is full block air vents. Now, this is a mod that I have been using for a really long time, and I'm really happy that it is now vanilla, which is essentially, this is a conveyor junction with conveyors on all of the other sides, except one face that is now a vent, which makes it so much easier to put into your builds and such and not have a vent that is sticking half a block out. You can make it flush with certain surfaces. This would be a lot easier to put vents into your airlocks because they can just be flush with the side of the vent. It's great. Moving on. 2x2 wheels. Yes, finally. 1x1 are way too small, and 3x3 are honestly a little big for smaller rovers. 2x2, when we start thinking about the size of Space Engineers blocks, where a small block, for example, is a 1/2 meter cube. If these are 2x2, that means the thing is a meter tall and a meter wide. That's starting to get into the realm of real world wheels. It's a very large wheel. It's like a large truck, but it's more realistic. So if you're going to make a recreation car in Space Engineers, a 2x2 wheel will probably fit that a lot better than a 3x3 could. So I can see myself using these on smaller, like your first rover to go out and scout for some resources when you first spawn kind of thing, rather than big 3x3s. Leave 3x3s for, that little bit larger, say a cargo rover, needs a bit more clearance, where your little scouts and such can have 2x2s. So, excellent. As you can see, they're both for small grid and large grid. But now that we have 2x2s, where's the 4x4s, Keen? We have 5x5s, why not 4x4s? And hell, why not 6x6? But I kid. But I'm not. Give me 4x4s, please. Moving on, this is a change to the small ejector. It is no longer an ejector. It is now a small ship connector. But fret not, you can still eject stuff with it. If we look at this, all you have to do is just go into your small connector and then just go throw out, and it'll throw out everything that's in it. You put a sorter on the back of it so you control what's going into it, and you throw on collect all, throw out, and the thing acts as a ejector. Connectors have always been able to do this. You just might not have known that. But good thing to note, if you had ejectors in your design, as far as I understand, it changes over without issues. For example, this blueprint here had ejectors on the side. They are now just connectors. See, they're still named ejectors in this blueprint, but they are functionally connectors. So, just so you know, all of your old designs using ejectors will not break. They will be fine. Next up is a quality of life change. With the custom turret controller, can now target the sun. Yes! This is really good, especially for console players, because consoles don't have access to the amount of scripts that us on PC have. So they are unable to do like Izzy's solar alignment and such like that. But baking the solar tracking into the custom turret controller allows you to do stuff like this. Now, the sun in this world is in a fixed position. It's not going to move, so this is just going to point in one direction for all time. However, what you just need is a rotor, a hinge, and a camera, and you have a solar tower. And you can do this with your solar cells or your oxygen farms, and it's going to be really easy for console players and less technically inclined. People don't want to deal with a bunch of scripting and renaming things to azimuth and elevation. It'll just work, which is awesome. Moving on to the next thing, another quality of life change, the landing gear lock bug. So what was happening before is if sometimes you would have one ship and then another ship would connect to that ship with a landing gear. The one that is connected with the landing gear would take control, and you wouldn't be able to use the original ship. Like, just can't operate it. It'll say somebody else is taking control of this grid. That's been fixed. So this little guy here was actually a kind of an annoyance built around that bug, where what you would do is you would place a landing gear or a mag plate on a grid and put a remote control and a small battery on it, and then you would activate the remote control, and that would make it so that the remote control was trying to go to a direction. It had no gyros, had no thrusters, it could never get there, but because it was trying, it took control of the grid it was attached to. So I call these like the grid inhibitors, and you could just slap one of these on a grid, and then you can't use that grid until you destroy this inhibitor. So it was a real fun way to be like, haha, I gotta just sort of stick this on your ship, and now you can't use your ship until you deal with it. Fun little device, but it doesn't work anymore. And the last quality of life change is the weapon naming. So, I believe it was Warfare 2. They renamed was Warfare 1 was the field engineer one? I think that was Warfare 1. They renamed a lot of the weapons. And they named them to stuff like MR20, MR50A, and such. But it became difficult to be able to find those particular weapons in the search. So if I had to type in a certain combination of letters and numbers, I might not remember that. But if I just need to type in a rifle, because this says rifle in the title, it'll come up with rifles. So that way, you don't have to think about their exact numbers and such. If you want rifles, just type in rifles. If you want rockets, just type in rocket, because those are also named with rocket launcher. So that's an amazing update, so that you can find your weapons and ammo. The ammo has also changed its name, all the same way. Excellent. But that is the end of the free side. We're going into the paid side now. First things first is we have the plastic armor, and we're actually walking on it right here. It is a very clean armor. Nice bold lines with clean sections in between. A little bit of detail here and there, and a couple things of like vent ports or whatever those are. We can see that on the Blue Rover. Always use the same rover for all of the updates, just to show how the armor skin looks on it. Same thing, very clean. It reminds me, this plastic armor, of the clean armor or the silver armor, sort of how clean it is, or even the weldless armor. I like it. I think it has a good matte finish. It's not too glossy, and is nice and clean and nice and bright, and I could see myself using plastic armor in the future. Now we have a couple updates to other DLCs. So because they're adding stuff like 2x2 wheels, in the Wasteland pack they added off-road wheels. So off-road 2x2s are being added into Wasteland. So if you own Wasteland already, you will just get these. But if you want these, you have to buy Wasteland. So 2x2 wheels with the off-road wheel design. And pipe cap from Heavy Industry. So if you want this particular thing, similar to how we have the conveyor caps, this pipe cap is with the Heavy Industry DLC. And adore this model. It is amazing. I love the rivets and the handles and the warning high pressure. I absolutely love this thing. For example, I think having like a industrial hydrogen tank and then having one of those caps on the top of it. Let's just see what that looks like. I think it would be beautiful. Oh yeah, it is beautiful. I had no doubt. It fits so well, and it works so much better than what I was doing in the past, which was putting a piston top part on one of those. Now that looks amateur and dumb compared to the beauty that is a well-greebled part. Oh yes, very, very good. I like it. And that is the pipe cap for the Heavy Industry DLC. Moving on, the emotion controller. Now, this actually isn't some kind of AI block. It's not going to affect how your ship behaves. It is simply an LCD with built-in emojis on it, essentially. So if we look over here, take a look at the panel, we can see the motion controller. We got the standard LCD of what we're going to put on the large display or the small screen and keyboard over here. But then we can put some text on them. We can put some various things. We can also go down and select our emotion that we want. So you can see the emotion here on the right is the love, I believe it is. We can click on neutral and sad and shocked and skeptical and sleepy and suspicious. And you can have those be triggered off events. So they are actions going to these individual emotions that you could put into the event controller, into timers, into control seats. So you can have these events, these emotions change based on something that occurs. So say, for example, you go and have an event controller looking at integrity of a block. So you could have this drone with a sad face because it's all broken down. And if you built up the block, the event controller would go, hey, it's repaired. I'm going to change to a lovey face because thank you for fixing me. Just imagine that in an RPG type scenario where you have this damaged AI helper that's going to be like, oh no, I've lost my arm. Can you please repair it? And you repair it up. And then he goes and smiles and goes, well, thank you. Like, here, have this. And he opens up a little thing in his chest, and there's an item in there for you. Like, that sounds really cool, and you could make that go way further than that basic example I gave you. But Emotion Controller could allow you to add some personality to your existing grids. The Saddle Cockpit. If you want to have an ATV, a motorcycle type thing, you've got this Saddle Cockpit. We can jump into the cockpit here as you see your character is riding, leaning forward, grabbing those handlebars. And there are two variants for it. Actually, the model is almost the same, but it is just differently spaced in terms of where the block positioning is. So if you look at this particular one here, it has a conveyor pass through, so you can pass through the seat. So if you're doing something, say with hydrogen, you're able to pass the conveyor access through to the front to put hydrogen thrusters for braking, and also back to the back to make like cargo to like hydrogen tanks and thrusters back there for acceleration. This has that that conveyor in the center. It is a odd block in the sense that it is odd symmetry, one block in the center with half blocks on either side, where this one is even symmetry with two blocks with their shared edge being the very center of it. So if you wanted to make an even symmetry rover, you could do this. Make an odd symmetry rover, you could do that. I think they look great, and I can't wait to use them to make some really light motorcycles and such, or some light ATVs using the 2x2 wheels, or most likely the off-road variants of them. Next up is warning signs, and we've got, I think it's about a dozen of them. Well, let's go through all these warning signs. We have notice offers change over time. Training station. No weapons allowed within this station. No access. Automated turrets beyond this point. Trespassers will be shot. Safety first. Accidents are avoidable. We have worked 0 days without a clang incident. Wear protective equipment. Unfortunately, though, they spelt this wrong. It is clang with a K. The community voted. It is K. Get over it, Keen. We have said that it is K, not C. Anyone who's saying elsewise is a liar. Storage area, very basic. Caution, explosive danger. No fire, no sparks. Watch out. Authorized personnel only. Visitors must be accompanied by a certified engineer at all times. Medical rooms. Landing area, ships and drones. No atmosphere beyond this point. Perfect for entering into a depressurized cargo bay or on the outside of your airlocks. Warning, construction site. Warning, 0G zone. Danger, airlock mechanism. Again, perfect for your airlocks. Warning, hazardous environment. I think these are great. They're going to add a lot of flair to your designs. Even the simple things like medical rooms, it would be great if they added a few more of these for like different rooms. So you have medical rooms, you could have like computer rooms, like a server room. You'd have like the armory. If they can make an entire signs for all the different sort of little spots on the ship, it would be nice to add to this. But overall, I love them. And now that there is this, essentially this framework of how these blocks are put together, I expect the workshop to be filled with all sorts of people adding their own signs. Because you can just simply take one of these models, rip this PNG image off of it, throw your own PNG image back in with the same resolution, bada boom, you have a mod. So I think that's going to be really nice to see what the community comes up with. Next up is top mounted cameras. And I think this one... What happened to you? Did you fall over? It fell over, okay. There you go. So top mounted cameras. Instead of having the camera on the front of something, which you may not want to do. Like say you have a drone that you want to have this space for like reverse thrust and spotlights and drills, and you don't really have a good spot to throw a camera. Throw it on top. Very easy with these top mounted cameras. And they are low profile, about half a block high, and they are sleek. I love this model. So I see myself using these quite a lot. Next up is angled interior walls. We're getting into a few blocks of greebling here that will allow us to make some good cosmetic upgrades to our designs. Angled interior walls is just that. We go from a half block size to a full block size on the bottom with an aggressive change of direction halfway through. I think this looks amazing. The only thing I could ask for now would be, say, different, like we have the interior angled. How about a angled corner? So allow me to corner this around, or a corner this way. You know, just the corner blocks so that I can extend this interior wall in some other direction if I wanted to. That would be really cool. And it would allow me to make entire corridors with these lining the edges. But we have it just with a normal, as well as these support beams to show the actual full block size. Next up is the Inset Light block, and oh yes, I'm so excited for this. It's such a mundane little thing. It is a block of light, but it's inside this block. Why that is so important is exactly this in front of it. This catwalk occupies this block space. So you can't put a light in the wall because it occupies the same space. Even though realistically, like, you should be able to occupy that space because their hitboxes aren't conflicting, the game won't allow you. But if the light is in the wall, then you can, and it works. So this means that you can have these much tighter, smaller, like catwalk systems and like staircases and such that can be these real claustrophobic with still having light, and be able to have your catwalk all the way along with no breaks, still having your light. Plus, really easy now to make things like runways for planes and such, because you can just put this in the ground and it's flat, it's smooth, there's no little bumps of lights to run over, and you can have a light right in the middle of the road. So I'm super excited about the Inset Light block. I'm going to be using it a bunch. Next up is the Pipework block. Just some more cosmetic greebling. There is no conveyor access on these things or anything, but they look amazing. Only thing I'd have to say though, again, like these angled ones, give us a little bit more to turn them. Like if I get a Pipework corner, so I could go like from here and corner up, or it would be a T junction where I could go both ways, or an X junction, or a Pipework block end that goes halfway and then does like a cool manifold thing that it goes into. I can make like these entire pipe networks in my floor or in my walls instead of just having a couple little blocks. And that would greatly increase my ability to do some cosmetics with these. So please, Keen, give me some more Pipework blocks. Give me a corner, a T, an X, and an end, and I will be a happy, happy boy. And the same thing, it's just another Pipework block, but it doesn't have the pass-through. It is got walls on it. Next up is access panels, which are some absolutely amazing greebling for your ships. But it is not just that. They are actually functional. You open this up, and there's a goddamn thing in there. You can access panel. It's amazing. I like it. However, not every single one is functional. This one here, lift it up, nothing in there. Be nice if there was a button or an access panel there. This one, there's a button. I love this one. You just imagine this like you're in your hangar bay. The emergency depressurize is hidden behind here, and then hit the button and alarm sounds, door opens. It'd be beautiful. Everything gets sucked out. And the last one here is actually a two-parter. You can open it up, and that is the same size as a cargo conveyor port. So you could put these on the side of cargo containers, and you could have it so that your access is through a set of open doors. Oh, that looks so cool! I'm really excited about that. That's just extra greebling, extra stuff. And they're cheap. Just some construction components, some interior plates. Yeah, absolutely not, like, hardly any cost to these. It'd be nice if, say, this one had a panel here that we could access, or a button. And what actually would be nice, although I get I understand the concept of wanting to be able to open each side at a time. That kind of cool. It would be nice if you opened it, both would open. Because it's kind of annoying having to open both to be able to access your stuff. But if you just had it as like a door, essentially, and you came up here and you just opened it and they both opened, and yeah, that'd be kind of nice. But you also have them for small grid. Unfortunately, these ones, with the same door opening one, these have no functionality to them. Where these ones have the button and the panel there, these ones got nothing. So it'd be kind of nice if, say, for example, this one, there was a panel here or a panel like somewhere in here, or even that perfect little thing right there would be perfect for a button. You just put a button right there. No changes need to be done to that. You just slap a button on there. It'd be nice if the small grid had a little bit of functionality, as they lack that compared to the large grid versions. The Automaton variant blocks. These are existing blocks that are getting Automaton skin. And here we have the programmable block. And this looks great. It's a wonderful server rack where we can see all the computers chugging away. And we've got a terminal here. LCD screens. Absolutely beautiful. I can see that being my go-to programmable block in the future, because you can do some really cool stuff with it. Like you can put them back to back like that and make sort of like a server room, creating like a trio of them like this. Make a room. This is the entrance. You come in here. This is the server. 3 programmable blocks. Oh, it looks great. Can't wait to use it. The Automaton sensor. So just like a normal sensor, it triggers based off its settings and can do something else with those settings. We can take a look at it here. Actually, I think it's upside down, because there's this little warning thing of warning high pressure. I have no idea why a warning for high pressure is on this block. Unless this, like, this isn't under high pressure. I don't know what's going on. But it's a sensor that looks kind of cool. Next up is the Automaton timer. Regular old timer block with a little bit of computer racks on the sides. Looks pretty good. And just warning high voltage. See, that makes sense. This is high voltage. This is the big computer thing. Why you high pressure? And then air vent fans. So these are just a cosmetic upgrade of the typical air vents. Absolutely no difference in functionality between them. They just look real pretty and have a spinning fan blades on them, which is gorgeous. I love it. I'm going to be using these for all my designs in the future. And the last but not least is my character itself. We have a new helmet skin. It is the, gotta get out of spectator, close my helmet. It is the robot helmet. So you can see multiple colors on the helmet. We've got these chevrons. And on the back, we have these, like, this looks like some ports and some buttons, as well as got some hexagons and such. A pretty cool helmet. But that is it. It took a while to get through everything and give my thoughts on it, as there is a lot in this update. Not just the paid content, but there is a bunch of free additions. And like I'll restate, the event controller is going to be game-changing for space engineers. And I can't wait to see what the community does with it. Other than that, only a couple issues, which is I'd like to have more variants of these cosmetic blocks in order to just better utilize them, so I can do some more. I am very happy with the quality of this update. It looks amazing, and I can't wait to get in and play it. Which, if this you're watching this exactly when it goes live, is probably going to be very soon, as I'm going to jump on stream and make some designs this evening. But I've taken far too long. It's been like 40 minutes to go through everything. Thank you for watching, and good hunting out there, fellow space engineers.